we have over 360 signatures, and over 100 of those come from Belmar's subdivision. While collecting these signatures, I have been surprised by how many people feel intimidated and bullied by their neighbors with ATVs. Many ATVers around my subdivision feel that they can speed up and down the road, charge around the woods, and their pleasure comes before everyone else's rights. In question, we live in Lake Shingala, and my experience in Lake Shingala with ATVs is pretty much unfavorable. The main problem I see with this ordinance is operating an ATV on a road currently is illegal, and we have not been able to find any legal entity that will take care of enforcing those laws.
The second issue here is if this passes, we're going to have endless cruising back and forth and aimless wandering on our roads. This will lead to noise, smoke, congestion, which leads, again, back to safety. When people bought their house in a subdivision, they didn't expect this to happen. When you buy a house on a lake, you do expect you're going to have ATVs in the wintertime, snowmobiles, boats, fishermen, etc., etc. It's just going to wreck our property values.
My granddaughter's spending a lot of time in Belmar now. I read pro-ATV emails and letters that were sent to the town, and one stated that people that opposed this ordinance were opposed because we lacked knowledge. And I'm here to say it's precisely because of the knowledge that's been given to the board with all the attachments, the DNR, the law enforcement, medical professionals. This is why myself and at least 360 other people have signed petitions opposing this. Public policy should be made based on advice of experts and not by those who choose to ignore this advice and all these statistics and proof. It's proof. And I encourage the board to oppose this for the benefit of all 12,000 residents of Salem, not just for the few who want to ride their ATVs for fun.
My name is Crystal Coes, and I'm an ATV owner. My family all took the ATV class through the DNR. The DNR, if you read their rules, says do not ride your ATVs on an asphalt road, a cement road. It's not safe. It says on the ATV, don't ride this on a road. If we're off-roading, that's it. I have a few in my neighborhood, and I have, like I said, I own them. I go up north. You're going to own them? Go up north. There's no trails around here. And
I was hoping to get towards the end because I wanted to hear more about, the people's problems with this. And I'm for it, by the way, so we can get that out of the way right away. I've heard a lot of different opinions, and I think there's a lot of good concerns that the folks against this ordinance have. I also think there's a lot of misinformation that's been passed around. It's not a new thing. It is legal. It's done all over the state. It's done west of us along the state line. There's 3 counties with multiple cities, villages, and towns that do this successfully. And it's also up north, which everyone says go up north, that's fine. But I don't see why we can't do something around here now. I don't understand why it's all so negative. There's so many good things about ATV. Will somebody get hurt? Yes. Will somebody break the rules? Yes. I'm not going to argue any of that.
Now, with that said, I do think as a board, you're in a lose-lose situation. If you pass an ordinance that says we're going to have ATVs, there will be a group of people in this room that will make sure that they lead the campaign of getting you unelected. And if you vote against it, there might be another group in here that will be willing to seek trying to get you unelected. So I think the simple fact of the matter here is based on this kind of emotionally charged thing is that we create a referendum and we give this to the people. And we let the people of this town gather their information with a referendum and we let the people vote. And then if only 200 people show up, I get more applause here than I do on a Sunday morning preaching. I mean, seriously, with a heated issue like that, I really don't think this should be put on 5 people.
That you have, I live in Meadows in Mill Creek. I lived there for 4 years. And I have to put up with racing ATVs. Several had children on them, no helmets, unregistered, no lights. A couple of them, these I tracked down and called the sheriff's department, and they took care of the matter, even issuing some warning citations. I don't think that the sheriff's department should have to put up with any more laws to enforce if this proposal was passed. And I also worry about some people from outside the Salem community, knowing that this proposal passed, to come here and we'll have more problems with ATVs.
Roberts, and I urge the board to vote against this proposed ordinance. There's a lot of reasons for it that have already been expressed. Nobody's really mentioned the weekenders that come up here and will be racing ATVs all over the place. I see bikes coming down 83rd Street with the front wheel in the air fairly often, especially on the weekend. And as far
Be a lot less controversy were it to be passed than there is today. I think I'd like to see it passed on even maybe a limited basis, and I think folks would see that we're talking about basically, good citizens who are going to obey the rules of the road. We can't solve a lot of things that have been mentioned here tonight. That's been going on for years. We can only hope that the example that we set would inspire them to obey the rules of the road.
I wanted to say, but I am an ATV owner. I'm in favor of it. I'm also in favor of Salem looking at some type of trail system too. I mean, it'd be nice to use them for that. I live between Hooker and Paddock Lake. I ice fish a lot. I summer fish a lot, and it would be nice to, and I'll be honest, I ride down the road to go to Hooker, and I ride across 50 to go to Paddock sometimes. I don't do it all the time, but there's times, and I'm sure there's other people in here who do the same thing I do. I've even gone over to Montgomery a couple times. I won't deny that. I don't rip down the road. Yeah, I'm one out of 100 that I do it right.
I really think this ordinance or possible ordinance is putting the cart before the horse. We have no public legal trails. It would be great maybe to have a trail system, but let's get, if that is really wanted by the community, how about some groups form and get that going? And if it's a possibility, if it's feasible, if you want to hook up with Walworth County or that kind of thing, then that's the smarter way to go about it. I really think this is the cart before the horse.
And I'm Dean Griffin. I also live in Delmar subdivision. And at the April meeting, I think it was, I did bring in a petition with like 160 signatures of people in Delmar that are for this. And I'm also for it, obviously. But my main thing is not so much as having this as for convenience, is because as everyone has stated, for or against, people ride the ATVs in Delmar all the time. And my hope is with an ordinance, with rules, maybe that us law-abiding citizens can lead by example and help to sort of curtail some of the BS that goes on that's illegal,
I'm a nurse and I'm a bicyclist and I don't own an ATV and I probably never will. And the only reason I brought this up was because I saw it successfully happening in Tomahawk as I was caring for a relative that was dying. And I came back home and I know I'd come across ATVs in the road and I was surprised by them. And I think there's always that element of surprise if you don't expect something to be there, and that makes it a little unsafe. And I thought, gee, if we labeled some of these roads that I ride my bicycle on as ATV routes, then there'd be a couple more signs to remind people to slow down and I'd be safer on my bicycle. So that was really what went through my head when I started this process. And anything we do with a referendum, if it gets voted up or gets voted down, the referendum itself won't solve the fact that these things are already out there and that people are going to use them the way they feel like they can use them. And I agree with Mike wholeheartedly that social pressure makes an enormous difference. And if we form clubs, we'll have a good reason to get together, have a good time, raise some money to find some signs, and we'll go through that camaraderie process that the snowmobilers have had for a long time. So I do think it'd be a good idea on your part if you decide to pass an ordinance on your own without a referendum to put a sunset clause to it. Maybe we get 3 or 5 years to see if we can improve safety and make people happy. I think there's a lot to be said for having an ordinance that allows people to go on the road, provided they have a license on the back. So we can take a picture of somebody who's misbehaving.